Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends, welcome back to this subject of innovations in marketing and marketing of innovations. Up till now we have been pursuing both these elements and have tried to develop a conceptual understanding of what do we mean by innovations in marketing and marketing of innovations. And I promised you that I would be carrying forward a bit with this kind of a discussion with an example of Indian Premier League IPL. And you see, you would realize that as I was telling you last time also, India, a cricketing country which has been pursuing it with so much of zeal. And I remember I told you that how my father used to listen to the radio and so on. But you see, whole of the nation is associated with this one game. This unites us. So, and that has and recently you would have watched that movie 83, and I remembered I was young at that time when India won World Cup, and the team was rejoicing on television, and those were the days when color televisions were just introduced in India. Color televisions came to India in 1982 with Asian Games, and that was a delight basically. And I remember we also got one color television in 82 and watched Asian Games, and after that I was watching this World Cup, and still remember when Indian team rejoiced and the captain of Indian team, Mr. Kapil Dev, ran with a wicket in his hand, and and then that was a wonderful sight basically. So, that is what cricket has been to us. Now, that cricket started traversing from 5 days to test matches to 1 days and so on. But still there were few teams, it was organized, few people were going to stadiums, or many people were going to stadiums and so on. So, we all know the dynamics, but how to take it to a mass for viewership, how to involve larger number of players, how to make it so dynamic, how to bring in that kind of a volatility, and that is where marketing genius, marketing innovation and innovation in marketing comes together. So, you see, you can see these slides wherein the T20 is talked about now. So, these 20 over matches they came in, and then IPL came in, and a format was decided, teams were auctioned, several players from all over the world, I told you last time, were brought in, and lot of sponsorship, lot of television viewership, lot many stadiums, lot many products were brought in. And you see, this is what I wanted to show you, and my team has zealously brought in these slides and statistics for your viewing, just to give you an idea that value of Indian Premier League from 2014 to 2022 rose to 8.4 billion US dollars, huge amount. This is what we have taken from Statista, and then average annual cost of Indian Premier League's broadcasting rights from 2009 to 2027, look at this figure, 328.9 million US dollars, big money. And if you are going for broadcasting rights for this kind of a money, then that means further money would be generated in due course of time. And that is where I was talking about the concept of a value chain. Cricket, few players, teams, they are playing with each other. So many people are watching the show. So many products are being sold associated with cricket, on spot, off the spot. The matches are broadcasted. Then several kinds of other interactions on television, different kinds of platforms. Now you can watch it on mobile. Those kind of companies are involved. Several kinds of sponsorships are involved. And that is how this whole value chain is working on. Several people who are sponsoring these matches or advertising through these matches, they have planned their production and sales in advance on the basis of what kind of ad revenue they would be spending and what kind of a customer attention they might be gaining at the end of the day. That is precisely what we are wondering about as far as whole of this scenario being developed around one game. And that is where innovation in marketing and marketing of innovation comes into play when we talk of value chain analysis with the perspective of generating value at each element and capitalizing that element not only in your favor, but in favor of almost every value chain partner. IPL design is meant to bring gains to all the value chain partners. It is not just that they are directing revenues towards them. All the people getting involved in the show are getting benefited, starting from the match organizers, the team owners, and almost everyone. And look at this, title sponsorship fee of the Indian Premier League from 2008 to 2023 by sponsor. Now this is 3,000 million Indian rupees, 3,000 million Indian rupees, which is, and this is projected one. So the site says that this is 2022 to 2023. So they have put up an asterisk there, and last it was Vivo, 4,400 million Indian rupees. So that is how Statista is telling us about this. You see, that is what is the larger outlay. That is how we can look at this picture when we reimagine sports through marketing. And when we are talking of IPL, remember, we are going for other sports as well. Today we have Kabaddi also, today we have other sports going on the same format, and that is very interesting. That is not only important for all those players to have a larger opportunity to participate, that is one part, but then you have several kinds of substitutes and alternatives in terms of as far as entertainment goes. Today's sports become a healthy entertainment, a universal reason for people to join together. You see, first is engaging the fans, and you may look at the elements of that. So one, for example, one is real time predictions, questions and polls and so on. So those kind of things are there, and people have two thoughts about all these things which are going on in relation to games. Many people look at team building as a very big opportunity in terms of business goes. Many people look at it as a losing proposition if they have to lose real money. So there are two thoughts until unless we come up with compliances in terms of these kind of businesses. We do not know how this is going to turn out, but definitely things are working. So now spreading the digital presence, for example, so online streaming, celebrities and influencers are there, innovating viewing experience is there, and addressing regional markets is also there. And there was a time when I was staying in a small city, and there was a good stadium there, and we always used to wonder that why they do not have international matches here. You see, there was no need for that actually. So metros, you had to organize international matches so that you can have large viewership and large attendance of people. But then IPL kind of sports not only did whatever we have just seen and discussed, these kind of matches, they have also upgraded the smallest of the locations in terms of stadiums and facilities, and people have started visiting those, teams have started visiting those places, and we have a suitable viewership there as well. Now, the popularity of T20 skyrocketed in India, and after launch of IPL in 2008, it became an instant hit, as we know, and it revolutionized the situation. And this transformed the complete scenario. So, you see, it is not that it was a very unique format. As per the format, several countries, they had different these similar kinds of formats around the world in different kinds of sports. But here, after it was launched, we realized that we had a huge potential which was not capitalized upon. And when we talk of potential, I am always referring to the complete value chain in terms of potential, not only in terms of that core business we are referring to here. So, whenever I am talking about this, please remember that if we are discussing these kind of things, try and focus upon drawing a straight line, putting up number of stakeholders and partners here who are associated with each other, then try to bifurcate those elements into the association of these partners or elements with other partners or elements. For example, we are talking of teams here, let us say, and if you are talking of teams here, then teams are supported by, let us say, owners through their investors somehow. So, those are indirect partners here, and then players, and then trainers of the players, and the institutions associated with training those players, and so on. So, that is coming from that side. Then sporting authorities are there, then for example, BCCI is there, and then there are stadiums and authorities are there, and then there are so we can put up as many people who are associated with this kind of a situation and try to bifurcate their association with further associations, and you would realize that we would gain a complex chart in front of us on a white paper, and then try to analyze that what kind of value they have generated for themselves. That is one part. The second exercise you may do is that you may analyze that what kind of a value teams have generated as a partner for the broadcasters, what kind of a value broadcasters may have generated for others, and for example, someone is advertising, what kind of a value they would have generated for their organization and industry at large. For example, if I am focusing upon an organization which is which advertises about, let us say, apparels, let us say shoes, they are advertising about themselves definitely, but then that industry is moving ahead because they are partners of that industry. So, whole of the industry would gain. If you look at the larger picture, the total market size definitely would increase, even if one player is growing. That is the magic of as far as the whole situation of marketing scenario goes, and that is how I want my learners to think in terms of relationship of one's actions with the others' gains. And that is these are the references. We would be putting these references everywhere, possibly in every slide, for you to get facilitated on from where we have taken specific lines, specific elements, and we are thankful to these authors who have wonderfully contributed to the subject. And beyond traditional marketing innovations in marketing practice, John Wiley and Sons, this is a very good contribution. And then the new rules of bringing innovations to market. This is a Harvard Business Review article which is also wonderful. So, here I would take you towards the newest addition to our discussion. What is actually the need of innovations in marketing? And now we are building up the case on innovations in marketing, and I promise that we would be addressing this, then we would be coming back to the marketing of innovations almost halfway the course. So, now we would focus upon the need of innovations in marketing. Is there any need for what we are talking of? Although I presume that the kind of elements which we have conceptually built up around this subject up till now may have emphasized the need of innovations in marketing, but then now I would be using good text to refer to and support the argument with the help of the text here. Now, as we have been referring this particular book published in 2005 by wonderful marketing professors from IMD Switzerland. So, now you see their expression in terms of what emphasizes the need of innovations in marketing, they start talking about change and exchange elements as far as marketing goes. So, as they say that in the current market, which is very demanding also, traditional marketing encounters many shortfalls. Many changes have taken place that have fundamentally transformed the marketing environment, and the marketing discipline does not seem to be able to adapt to it. Authors, these authors, they are eminent marketing professors, and they have been looking at different marketing aspects in consonance with how industry is going ahead, how industry is looking at it, and what are the changing requirements of industry which they are interacting with. They are sitting in good institutions who have larger span and interactions with contemporary industry scenario. So, that is what they, so you see this is a very important line here in the last this part of this paragraph, which says that innovations are inspired by these changes as marketing tries to bypass its traditional boundaries. And they categorize few elements which are on the basis of their understanding, which is very apt and good and adaptable, wherein they say that most relevant and pervasive changes in the structure of markets and their behavior are, as they observe, is commoditization, consolidation, power shift, margin erosion, value focus. This is how, if you will cumulatively look at it, this brings us to our earlier discussion wherein I said that we scaled up everything, and that scaling up perspective brings commoditization. We will be coming to this right now, and then it consolidates, and somehow several other things also come in. They are intertwined with each other, all these aspects. Let us see how things unfold. Now, look at this. You see, commoditization, as I told you, that is, I should not say resultant of, but is accompanied all through by scaling up perspective, which is enabled by changes in technology or technology upgradation. I told you last time, if you remember, that on one side I wanted to universalize my quality, and some manufacturer who was focusing upon technology and machine development provided that ability to me, but then that is their business. They wanted to look at other customers and they created other businesses alongside or increased my production. Overall production raised, and that was scaling up. So, better informed customers, you have choices now. Customer, they are exposed to the market, need has grown big, and you are bifurcating that need into wants. These are fundamental marketing aspects, and we all are aware of that. Then once you are generating different kinds of players, competition starts coming in, and this competition goes from substitution to alternatives to substitutions. I would recommend strongly that you read initial chapters of marketing and try to analyze the perspective through substitutions and alternatives. It is a simple thing, we do not have much time to digress towards that, but look at competition with a broader perspective. That is the thing. Now, this commoditization, and then on the other side, consolidation is again associated with, and I mentioned this to you earlier as well, mergers and acquisitions and alliances and survival of the fittest and so on, because then after a particular stage, what to do, how to differentiate, that always comes to to be as a question. Then commoditization, as the authors express, wherein a product or service becomes commoditized when it rapidly lose its intrinsic differentiation value. Standardization, universalization, scale up takes us there. Production line, product line differences are always there. There is a certain element wherein we differentiate products very well, but then within that differentiated rim also there is lesser differentiation after a particular kind of stage. I mentioned that most of the automotives, they kept on standardizing after a particular kind of stage. They you seldom just can't differentiate them beyond a certain point. That same happens in almost every product. Look at the pens around you. If you are having a pen in your hand, basically how to differentiate this pen with the other pen, can you do it very precisely? Tea, definitely you have a flavor to differentiate with, but then if you really are connoisseur of as far as the tea goes, so would you be able to do that? Definitely you may try this. There are several such examples. What shirt are you wearing at this moment? And can you differentiate the fabric with the other shirts which you have been wearing of two different companies? It's a difficult call. Now, let us go to this, how it takes you further. So, it generates a commodity trap, and it is defined as a state when a company sees its competitive position being eroded to an extent that it can no longer command a premium price in its market. Obviously, if less differentiation is there, then there are several aspects for which you cannot charge, because those are supplied or provided by the competitor at a competitive price. So, competition, commoditization brings price in competition as well. In a commodity trap, the consumer receives more product benefits for their money or pays lower prices for the same or lower benefits. This results in companies either holding their prices and losing their market share, as we all know, or they hold their market share only by lowering prices. Look at the two-wheeler markets, look at any market for that matter, look at consumer products like detergents for example, look at general consumer goods, almost of all the makes, all the brands, all the categories. Look at the soaps, look at the soft drinks, and then you would realize, and I am coming to consolidation, and then you would realize that the number of players would also keep reducing after a particular kind of stage. How many actual soft drink or beverage conglomerates do we have in this world? Try and count, and you would find that you can count them on fingers. How many actual detergent manufacturers at a larger scale do we have in this world? You have the answer. Then this commodity trap, there are three common patterns that create commodity traps, that is deterioration, proliferation, escalation. What does it mean? Let us see. Deterioration occurs when a low end competitor creates a dominant low price. Now, you see it is a wheel kind of a situation. Look at this. I scaled up, okay, maybe the direction is this, I scaled up, any direction for that matter, wheel is wheel after all. So, I scaled up, I went to a situation, and then there is a local manufacturer or regional manufacturer catches hold of a technology which is standardized by now, looks at a gap which is created by others, either supplies or distribution gap is there or price gap is there, and they locally manufacture that product with the help of, I would not say local supplies or raw material, but raw material has also standardized, raw material processing also has standardized. You just have to reach to the source of raw material, bring it to your levels, look at your margins, if even if they are not too high, then also you have a product and you fill that particular kind of a gap. So, low end competitor creates a dominant low price, low benefit position that expands the market share at low end. It is created by declining price and lowering positioning on the product's primary benefits. Cosmetics we have that, shoes we have that, several kinds of products we have that, eyeglasses we have that, food it is huge. Despite of wonderful multinational chains we have around this world, local food restaurants or food service restaurants or food providers are having their own brand value and brand equity and own market share per se. It is not that larger chains are there, so local restaurants will not do good, they are doing exceptionally good. The emergence of low end competitor and Zara took up that position on a scaled level, basically impacted the existing fashion market by offering a value proposition that looks better in the eyes of the customers, as the author says. But you see, that is one part. So, Zara also became a brand, but this is how they took their position. I am talking of more lower side brands basically. Why? Because I want you to look around them. Every city at large has someone or some organization which is a good fairly large supplier of a particular kind of a product or a seller of a particular kind of a product or has a particular kind of a brand value. And you see, in almost every sphere you would have someone. You may have local tailors who would be stitching, and they might have a competition with branded let us say apparels at to an extent. You have fabric sellers, cloth sellers for that matter. You have several other garment sellers. You have sari resellers who are manufacturing or getting their own saris manufactured in India. You, all of you have such kind of people in your towns and your cities, and restaurants I have already named. So, we have that kind of a regional presence, and that is a suitable level of regional presence. And out of those people, many have grown quite big in terms of as far as their national sphere goes. So, that is the point which, and you know, the text explains this with the help of examples like Zara. So, proliferation means a product's value proposition gets eroded by appearance of a number of new products which offer completely different price benefit positions. So, here comes this element which has to be focused upon, and these new products target small niches of customer pool. So, on one side you are going, you know, slightly wide, but on a regional scale, let us say optimized to your capacity. So, Zara had a larger capacity and your local restaurant has a limited capacity as far as the city goes. For example, in Roorkee there are several kinds of resellers. There is a shop where you go for any kind of utensil, branded or unbranded or locally supplied. You will find that everything they get several utensils you know, manufactured for themselves as well. So, but here you are talking of niches of the customer pool, causing the larger market to fragment. So, Harley Davidson was affected in American motorcycle market due to introduction of Japanese makers like Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, as well as American companies. Tesla wrote a different kind of a history when they came up with high end cars in different kinds of segments. I remember Lexus came in when you know, the Mercedes and BMWs, they were having their own fair share. Maybachs, they had their own fair share, and then you know, these manufacturers from Japan, they also brought in that luxury on roads. And today Kia is doing exceptionally well in terms of as far as providing, you know, larger level of luxury, and SUVs you have several kinds of such examples basically. So, and then when Tata's took over you know, Range Rover range of products, then definitely you know, this latest edition Defender, it has created a mark as far as the whole situation goes in terms of SUV goes, a wonderful dream vehicle. So, commodity trap again is related to escalation, wherein it happens when companies engage in a form of corporate one-upmanship. What does that mean? Everyone is so busy trying to outdo each other that the fact that nobody is now making any money escapes attention. Does it make sense? It does, because you see, new entrants are coming, or let us say existing entrants who have been slightly dormant. Here people are looking for a pie, someone takes the call. So, in cell phone markets, for example, the prices are decreasing while the benefits for customers keep on increasing, and Apple's introduction of the iPhone with the best benefits impacted the profit margins of its competitors and so on. On this side Apple can do that, on other side newer entrants can also do that. And you see, somehow it is a matter of looking at things with an opportunity perspective. But the point of view of discussing all these elements all through by the authors is that this is how the need of innovation gets established in the process, and that is what precisely we have to look at. I will be coming back to consolidation in my next session, and we will be trying to focus upon power shift, margin erosion, value focus and so on, and to establish the element of need for innovation. Then I would be traversing towards how consumer behavior has evolved in due course of time, and why should we be taking that into consideration for focusing upon innovations in marketing. keep watching the videos, keep reading the text, references are given for you. Try and think about these terminologies and the basis for the terminology itself, and enjoy this subject as much as you can. And we are always here to answer your queries. Goodbye, see you next time.